Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Live Market Analysis, USA style. My name is Carl Capolingua. I'm the market analyst over here in Australia. And I know it sounds weird. Why is somebody over there, down under, talking about US shares? Well, as we're going to see in a second, I'm a technical analyst first and foremost. And hey, it doesn't matter where you read the charts from. The charts, I believe, are the superior way to do your analysis. Hey, I will talk about some fundamentals, but really the theme today is all about getting your portfolio questions answered. Find the Q&A window, whether you're listening to me here in the Zoom session or you're watching me on any of the streaming services, that is YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, and I'll do my best to give you a technical and fundamental reader. No doubt we'll talk about artificial intelligence stocks today. It will be a big theme, certainly big US tech, probably some uranium in there, maybe even some lithium. So if that's your thing, then stay tuned. Let us head over to the AMI broker screen. Agilent Technology on screen, only because it starts with A. It's literally the first one on the list. I'm now going to take some requests from the group. Nicola's first in, looking at SPOT. Spotify Technology. Okay, look, it's actually a pretty nice trend there, Nicholas. So let us, first and foremost, just want to get my Zoom correct. Normal Zoom, there we go. And kick off with a look at the short-term trend, which is the 21 and 34 exponential moving average ribbon. So just plotting them both on the chart and using the most basic of logic. So let's say they're both heading up. One's short's above long, and they're spreading apart is green, and if they're not, then they go to amber, and if they cross the other way, it's red. So there's the secret. Not hard for you, but the most minimal programming experience to replicate that. And that's why I'm in AMI broker, because it's a programmable chart. It's not associated with any broker, despite the name, and it's where I can draw. So that's why we're here. We're not in the Think Markets platform, which we'll no doubt we'll get to at some stage today. Then we look at the long-term trend. That's the 144.233 EMAs. You might say, hey, Carl, why do you use those exponential moving averages? And the short answer is they work. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you know they work, and they work bloody well. And you can use 100 other indicators. And I do see lots of people put hundreds of other indicators on the charts. I'm not even sure where to find them. They're in here somewhere. You can see all of them here, basic, custom. There you go. There they are. I mean, you can see how few I use. In fact, I don't use any of them because for me, just basic trend and then drilling down to the price action of candles is the best way to do technical analysis. Don't confuse yourself with all of this jargon, mumbo jumbo, hocus pocus. I do have average true range down here. It is a 1 period average true range. That's confusing for many people because the standard is 14. I might use a longer period average true range for setting stop losses, but for selecting trades, and that's what this screen here is all about, I want to see where I can see spikes in volume. Okay, spikes in volume and how they coincide with spikes in volatility. That's what the average true range measures, and spikes in volume. Okay, and when they coincide with a particular type of candle, when that occurs, I get some very good signals on what to do. Okay, we might discuss that later on today. But just showing some of the indicators. And the one down here is the relative strength comparative, and that just compares the stock in question to an underlying index, and it might be the ASX 200 if you're trading in Australia, it might be the S&P 500 if you're trading in the USA. And what I might do actually over here, you can't see this, it's off screen. Oh God, I should have done this beforehand. Change the, let's try that. No, that killed it. Let's go here. Just need to get the symbol. I thought it was SPX. So we'll change it to the S&P 500, which is $SPX up, which is not AU, of course, it's not Australia. It's still not coming back. Oh God, what am I doing wrong here? No, that should work, but it's not. It was set to Australia. It compares the stock against the Australian market. Let me try this. There it is. Okay, well, we're going to do it against the NASDAQ then. Okay, and why not? I'm not sure why it didn't work against the S&P 500, but I'd rather use the NASDAQ. But it does illustrate that we can change the base here. Oh, well, there you go. We've got the S&P 500 and how it compares against the NASDAQ. So you can see the relative strength comparison down the bottom, when it's green and rising, you've got what's on screen beating the base index, which is the NASDAQ, and we can see this huge turnaround. It's just clear as day. Look at this, beating, and it starts that beating in a smaller way, and then boom, all of a sudden the NASDAQ is starting to outperform the S&P 500, and it is still doing that. Now, when I click on the NASDAQ now, you'll see it disappears. And that's probably why it wasn't working before, because I was in the S&P 500 trying to compare the S&P 500, and now we've got it right. So if I head back to spot over here, there we go. We can see that it was outperforming the NASDAQ and it is now underperforming the NASDAQ. And that's actually important in the analysis. We don't talk about this too much down the bottom, but it is an indicator I do take note of. And this probably gets to the heart here, Nicola, of my analysis on spot, which is, look, it looks fine. The short-term trend is pretty good. The short-term trend's great, don't get me wrong. The long-term trend is turning up, okay? We have seen the long-term trend go from an area which continued to push prices down. Look, this was so weak it actually didn't get there, to an area that's starting to push prices up. So that's a big tick. It's turned green. The price action is where I would go next, and this is where this one starts to fall down. And I know I spent a little bit of time on the first one, ladies and gentlemen, but only so I don't have to spend as much time talking about the same themes on the rest of them. You can see the price action is quite compressed. It's overlapping. It's not great price action because great price action looks like this, okay? There's very little overlap. We've got clear motive phases through here. That is motive with the trend, moving with the trend. We've got very small reactionary phases and clear motive, small reactions. And what we do find is another way to state that is that the last trough there is at or above the second from last peak. Okay, and we're not seeing that. So it falls down the price action. It probably falls down on the candles as well. That's the final flourish of my methodology, which is looking at something like this, which is quite disturbing. We can also see that. So looking at that one there, now you can see the candle, and then if we draw in the most recent price action, probably hitting something like this, and then last night with the lower high and lower low coming down, which forms this as a point of supply, which is lower than the previous point of supply. And if you have falling points of supply, the only conclusion you really can draw from that is supply is building. And that's not a good thing. And or it could be also demand is diminishing. It's just not powerful enough to sustain that supply, and it's coming down. And you do have, obviously, in between your 2 points of supply, you must have a point of demand by definition. And typically on a close beneath that, we would be looking to manage our exits as momentum traders. And if you're not a momentum trader, you can do something else. But that's the way I'd be looking at that. And you can see the amount of drawing I need to do in these sessions. And this is just where I tend to be the most comfortable doing it. Supply is building. And this is a real show of supply through here. It's probably can label two of this, two items here, because this candle here is your real problem. Okay, this is your supply, excess supply candle right here. Okay, that's a big show. From the supply side that something is wrong, and that preceded the next point of supply being lower. Buy, hold, or sell in this, I can hold it, but only on the basis that it hasn't yet cracked its point of demand. And if it was to do that, then I'd be managing my exit on this. If I was to give it a score out of 10, I'd probably give it a 5 at best. Okay, and as we're going to see, as we get through more and more ideas from you today, the goal is to not find 5 out of 10s. The goal is to find 10 out of 10s. We can see here, the very moderate, very modest performance against the NASDAQ. Okay, we want to find stocks that are beating the index, and that's no mean feat, ladies and gentlemen, given how well the index is doing. So that's the methodology summarized, and I'm sure we're going to find buys today. Let's maybe find them in Nicola's second suggestion, which is Jets, US Global Jets ETF. Is it something to do with the airline industry? Honestly, I don't know. Half decent. This is good. This is turning. The long-term trend has gone from pushing the price down to hopefully supporting the price. We haven't seen any confirmation in terms of a point of demand at that level, although we're seeing some nice shadows and candles at that level. What strikes me the most about this is the price action is getting very clean, in that this motive phase here is just amazing. It's wonderful. But again, look, and the candles are great. I probably should have put that sentence in next. The candles are amazing, just all white. But we haven't seen how the supply side has responded to this. And the shallow dip I do like to see after such a run, maybe even to 20, just to tell me that the supply is very weak and the demand is very strong. And the final thing that I'm concerned about here, as you all know, if you've been watching me for any period of time, it's just the proximity to what is probably going to be a major point of supply. And therefore, given the reward to risk available on the trade for new entries, I don't believe I don't believe I'll be buying it. I know that I won't be buying it because if I was to get in at current levels, you can see where I might have an issue here with some supply. And to set a stop loss, it needs to be a long, long way beneath that. And with such a wide stop for a small target, at least initially, hey, who's to say it's going to stop there? It can keep going. But on a first pass, I can't take that trade. Look, it's very warm. I could give this maybe a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. I could certainly say hold it. There's absolutely no impediment to holding this one. Happy holder, but just not a buyer at this stage based upon that one. Okay, let's keep moving. Got some streamers over here wanting to look at Walmart, a big US retailer. We can see here that even though it has gone up over the last couple of weeks, white candle after white candle after white candle after white candle, this is, I guess, fund managers sort of a feeling maybe that the bull market is coming and looking to buy some value rather than buying up all of those big tech names. It has underperformed the NASDAQ, but that is a very solid performance. Once again, a nice short-term uptrend, a really, really solid long-term uptrend, and it appears to be holding pretty well. A little bit of a blip through here, but the white candles got it back above really quickly. So all pretty good, through this point of supply. That's another big tick, but I think for people who have been doing these sessions with me long enough, I think the next place your eye goes is out to that point of supply there, which, let's face it, is going to be a major point of supply. How do you know it's going to be a major point of supply? Well, look what happened last time. The only way you can get from point A to point B is if there is a huge amount of supply, and even a couple of big gaps through here just means that you've got a bunch of investors, so a bunch of investors really put on the wrong side and put into losing trades, right? And we all know that feeling. Really, all we want, if you're going to hold on to Walmart because it's quality, whatever value. So they're holding, and really now we're getting back to a point where they can undo their mistake by selling, by supplying into the market. Supplying into the market around that zone. And there's no lock, there's no guarantee. I don't have a crystal ball. It could go straight through that, but that's not the game I play. The game I play is based upon probabilities, and my gut says we're going to see some supply there, so why would I be buying at this level? It's something I could certainly warm to buying down the track. When it does test that level, maybe pulls back a little bit, you get the right candles, shallow pullback, and somewhere in the light green zone, which is about to appear on the screen, maybe that's where I might be getting involved, but not until then. That's from Kirsty. Let's have a look at KNF. That's not the one, KNF. That is the one, yeah, KRC Metals. Well, as a technical analyst, Kirsty, I need technicals, and I've got maybe a month's worth of them, so there's not a lot I can do on this, but the candles look pretty good on what I can see, and the trend looks pretty good on what I can see. And that's about all you're going to get out of me on that one, because, where's the trend? Look, if you've got it, I'd be happy to hold it, but I just can't get enough evidence from short-term, long-term trends, price action, candles, relative strength to suggest that I should be buying this one. Hustle Finance saying, for the RSC indicator, what's the comparison period? 63, no, 34. There you go. I was going to say 63, which is 3 months, but no, it's 34. There you go. It's the 21, 34. It's one of my Fibonacci periods. I have used 3 months in the past. Okay. At the moment, I'm using. Oh, you can't see it. I'm on top of it. Hold on. There. That's not going to work. Why is that not? Where am I going there? Go here. Wait a second. I can turn myself off. There we go. streamers are coming back. There we go. Okay. So everybody, whether you're streaming or you are zooming, should now be able to see RSC-34, and that's the indicator there. Okay. And the reason why we can't see it on this chart for KRC Materials is, I'm guessing we don't have 34 periods of data just yet. This one coming from French NZ, ATVI, Activision Blizzard, the games studio. Big drop through here. I'm guessing some earnings. I tell you what, I would have been buying on this day. I thought it looked fantastic there. I would have been buying this day and this day. And if you're listening the first time, you're probably a bit concerned that somebody who puts themselves out there as having half an idea would say that's a buy there. That is an absolute buy. 100% buy. Okay, and you would have got tagged, absolutely tagged by that. But it is why we get in stages as well. Okay, we put in a third. I probably would have put in 2/3 on that one and got massively tagged because I would have had to get out in here. Certainly, species ending event. I would have been all out there, no doubt about it. I don't think it would have, I don't think it would be coming up on my scan, so I probably wouldn't have looked at it since then and been not fussed about that at all because you're going to have losing trades. And if you don't think you're going to have losing trades, then you might as well switch off right now. There's no point listening to me because I'm going to give you a bunch of them. Hopefully I give you more winners than I give you losers, and hopefully you make more on the winners than you lose on the losers. But yeah, don't think you've found the magic formula here. The short-term trend is pretty good. The long-term trend is good. The price action is not bad. There's a little bit of congestion through here, but otherwise I think we're popping up. And, if we say that that's your point of supply, you can see last night's shadows trying to hold it. I think that's fine. I think it's a 5.5. It's a 6 out of 10, but the elephant in the room is all of this supply up here. It's a bunch of people who were caught off guard, who, unlike me, didn't take their medicine and have been holding Activision Blizzard on the basis that, look, eventually it'll go back up and they'll be able to get break even. So on that basis, no, I can't buy it. But if you've got it, I think you can hold it because I do think you'll get into that zone. And maybe that's counterintuitive. Carl thinks Activision Blizzard is going up, but he said not to buy it. Okay. Well, I do think the most likely path here is to go higher, but it's not one that I'd be buying. I want to find something that doesn't have any impediments. And Daniel might have it. Let's go head to Uber, which actually looks really good, doesn't it? So you can see the long-term trend has changed, how the long-term trend really has gone from, resisting price, clearly resisting price, to supporting it. And that's the key to a turnaround play. The other key to turnaround play is the big white candles, particularly when you get gaps and high closes. And really for me, this is very much a buy day. And I don't want to confuse you because I think that's a buy day. And I know there's a big point of supply there, but we're at it, we're dealing with it. And remember what I said. I said, you don't know if it's going to be a point of supply, right, until you get there. And you see the candles that print there, okay? Now, if this was a big upper shadow, it would tell me that we got pretty close to it, and that point of supply is a problem, okay? That the people who got in there are starting to take their profits. Nobody was selling on that day. You had a huge gap up in price. So the fact we've had this huge gap, this close, very close to the high, and really no reaction from that point of supply means I could happily buy it on that day. And the gap is what attracts me. The gap up, the big white candle, the close is so attractive for what I do. And then you can see there up it went from there. I know that's navel gazing, that's looking at the past, but also pullbacks to the light green zone with white candles, and double whites like that are a really nice little occurrence. Even that one looks pretty good. That one looks pretty good, and this one looks great. So there's no issues. It's a bit of a ways away from the old light green zone. The further away you get from the light green zone, the more likely you are to mean revert. And then we do have some supply in here and in here. I would say this one's only a fairly moderate point of supply. I think it's dominated by this point of supply up here. So I think we call this POS 1 and we call this POS 2. I think POS 2 is the one that's going to give you the most trouble. And we're kind of had a bit of a look last night at POS 1. And I don't think we're too fussed by it. I'm going to refrain from buying this one. I think it's a very, very good setup. And if I didn't have these two POSs to deal with, I'd probably just run out and go plus 1/3. but I'm very close to it. It's just these points of supply that hold me back. But otherwise, I think it's very good. I mean, it's up there. It's sort of an 8 out of 10 for who asked about that one. Daniel asked about that one. Let's check out Daniel's second one, which is PANW, which is another fantastic looking chart. And again, I just want to draw your eye. I know we weren't here and we didn't say it, but these gaps and these white candles, that one could have closed a bit higher, and maybe that shadow would have just kept me out on the day. But certainly the next candle is fantastic. It's a great confirmation. And when you blend these two candles together, so I'm talking, we're blending candle 1 and candle 2 together, you are actually getting that high close that you want, and it's above the major point of supply here. So it's magic, and that's where 100% hands down going for plus 1/3. Oh, just looking at that big point of supply there, and again, that's is that a problem? Well, I think again, keeping in the theme for today, which is, look, are we concerned? Is it manifesting itself as a point of supply? We will see when it does, but certainly not on that day. It wasn't a problem. On this day, it started to be a problem, but then it was eclipsed very quickly here. So there's your magic again. I'm not sure if I would have been a buyer here just with that big black candle, but certainly here, that's your magic. I know we're going back in time, but it's about tuning your eye into the stuff I do want to see. This is just a long way away from the light green zone. It looks great. If you've got it, 100% hands down, hold it. There's absolutely no reason to sell this at all. And I know that, again, it's counterintuitive because most people look at that and go, oh, I've got to sell that. It's gone up too much. It's just not my method. All I can see here is demand. And all I can see here is sustained demand. And all I can see here is a lack of supply. Why aren't people selling? It's gone up so much. I got told that when price goes up, people want to sell. It's just not the case. People are holding. The price has got up and they're holding. Why are they holding? They think they're going to get more out of it. Palo, Alto, networks. I can't buy it here. It's just too far away from my green zone. But I think it's tremendous. If you've got it, hold it. Very interesting too there from Daniel. Matthew saying, hey, I know Hong Kong isn't USA, but you don't have an Asia session. Well, you never know. Watch this space, Matthew. Nicholas saying we might be able to do it in Thursday's webinar. Okay, Hanelli asking for Newmont mining. Oh, this is interesting. Is it a buy with potential to increase post-Newcrest acquisition? I don't know about the Newcrest acquisition. It's certainly going to make it the biggest. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but it should be the biggest gold producer in the world as a result of that. But it's kind of a ho-hum as far as the market's concerned. I mean, I think you need to look at the gold price. Hanelli, we looked at the gold price in yesterday's session. We said probably needs to come back to that dark green zone. Last night it actually did that. It was a really interesting candle on gold. Let me stop talking about it. Let me show it to you. I know we're not supposed to do this, but that candle there at the dark green zone is kind of what we've been waiting for. I'm not going to rush out and buy that yet. I want to see some confirmation and some price action building again for potentially what we're hoping for is another bull run in gold. We'll see. How does that relate back to old Newmont? I'm going to spend very little time on this because with that doing that, and that doing that, and the price action feeble at best, and I think predominantly black candles, I don't think there's much reason to own this. If you have it, look, I could go a hold on the basis that it's not about to plunge anytime soon, but certainly if it was to crack below 40, you would be managing your exits on that. It's buys off the table. I can squeak in at a hold, sell. Yeah, look, sell on the basis that, sell's on the table on the basis it's just underperforming everything else. But I can confidently say, for me, buys off the table. Now, I could be wrong, and tomorrow we might see the most almighty. Tomorrow might be the beginning. I don't think we're going to get taken. We're going to get taken over here. I think that's off the table. Who's going to buy Newmont? Right? Who's going to buy the biggest? That wasn't supposed to happen. Let me do this and do this, and we could see tomorrow the most almighty run up in Newmont shares. For whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe gold goes to $3,000 an ounce. It could happen. I don't know the future. And here I am telling you it's more likely to be a sell. I don't know the future. All I can say is there's no way I'd be buying that. Let us keep moving. Paul wants DFH. It can't be that one. Let me do this. This dream final. Oh, what a monster. Look, if you've got it, hold it. It's just too far away. I'm trying to find stuff like that. That's a nice one there. Even any of these, you know, down here, and you can see, look at the outperformance it had. So I just want to get like that one there is magic. And I can't take you back in the time machine. And I'm pretty sure we didn't cover this one on those days, but you know, I know you know that I would have told you to buy them on those days. And I'm not trying to, big note myself or anything. That's not the point of this. I just want to tune your eye into what you need to see. I think this is an amazing chart, but it's the further it gets away from the green zone, the higher the probability for mean reversion. And I know if I keep looking today, I'm going to find stuff down here. Okay, that's all. Hold it though. If you've got it, hold it. It's a dream, isn't it? It's a dream come true on that one. Hey, if you bought it, I wouldn't complain. But you know, I'm not gonna put my name to that one just yet. But what a fantastic move. MANH. This one also from Paul. This one also looks very good, and you can see probably a dozen places you could have bought it for today. It is just blue sky. It is just stairway to heaven sort of stuff. I don't think it's that far away from the light green zone, although I must admit you could have got much better entries even a couple of weeks ago. Look, look for the. I don't, and you can measure it in percentages or whatever you want to do, or in average true range. I'm gonna put 1/3 on that one, just on the basis that it's not as far from the green zone as a few of the other ones we've seen, and therefore, in the interests of following just the most wonderful trend, I will put a 1/3 plus 1/3 on that. And this is just so we can come back in the future and we can say, yeah, look, that was a good place to be thinking that way. It wasn't a good place, and you need to be able to do this. Go back and look at where you had an idea, and then come back and say, okay, well, I can see maybe why that idea wasn't the best one. And that's part of the reason why we do that. Now, UPST is one I told you to buy, I don't know, a little while ago. I put it on Ausbiz. It might have been here. I reckon maybe it was here, right there, when we did our big AI review. So if you got in sub 30 and now you're at 35, can't see any reason why you wouldn't continue to own it. Would you buy it? I can't see why you couldn't buy it. Is it where I like to get them? Look, it's definitely a turnaround play. We're seeing that the long-term trend's going from resisting price to supporting price through here. Great candles. Look, it's all good. Last two candles. Look, I don't mind. I don't mind. I mean, I wish we had everything we've looked at today. I wish was at the perfect level where I can just say, yeah, plus 1/3. But all I'm waiting for on a couple of these is just the most modest. It could be just two candles with lower shadows that kind of do that, just to set this price action, just to set a point where I can place underneath a stop loss, which is a bit tighter and a bit closer than the one which you probably should be using right now, which is all the way down here. Okay, that's all. Happy hold. I think I'm going to be a broken record today, given the market has moved so much. Okay, if you're tuning in for the first time, we've been in a lot of these from much lower down. I should read Paul's other comment, and Paul on the back here, because Paul says he's on DFH. Now, I don't think, did I give you that one, Paul? Let me know, because I'd love to take credit for it, but I don't remember this one, and there's no marking. So I'm guessing you found that by yourself, which is even better. I think as hopefully you would count me as your teacher, that's the greatest reward I can have, is if I didn't give you that one and you found it yourself. And I don't know if we've covered this one either. So I reckon you might have found that one yourself, but Upstart, I reckon I gave you. He says he's on all three. Forgot you're an hour early today. He's on Zoom now, says Paul. Craig saying, hey, Carl, any plans for Think Markets to import transactions to share side? Well, there was, and I'm probably not allowed to say that. Nick, do you have any updates? If you on the stream, you probably can't hear Nick, but the Zoomers can hear Nick. Any plans to import transactions into share side? Okay. Don't have a time frame on it. Usually, in Think Markets terms, Nick, means No, no comment. It's on the pile of to-do things. Okay, no worries. The streamers, you had no idea what's just happening there, but Nick confirmed that I know we have been talking to ShareSite. I know that for a fact, and it is, again, on the pile of things to do for the streamers that didn't hear Nick speaking there. Okay, let's head to Perry. Perry's got LECO. I know Perry always picks great charts for me. He's got another one here. I wonder, Perry, I wonder if you gave this to me on this day here, what I would have said, because this candle is a bit frightening. But what I think is decisive about this two candle pattern is the fact that probably quite a lot of bulls, and we're talking about candle 1 here and candle 2. So watch out for these patterns. They are important. And often the worse candle 1 is, comma slash, the better candle 2 is, the bigger the bullish signal. Because we had quite a bullish chart before that. And this, I think, would have put a lot of fear. Look, plenty of fear in here. Probably plenty of selling. People getting out. I know there was lots of supply. You can see that's a candle. People maybe who were true believers selling out. Maybe even some short selling. It's gone up too much. Oh, that's the signal I've been looking for. And when you get such a massive turnaround the next day, it just puts everybody who acted yesterday to the short side or the sell side, it just puts them in, well, number one, it puts them in cash, right? That's the worst place they can be, because this thing's, look at that, number 2, signal. So often the worse one is, and the better 2 is, the bigger the signal through there. So keep an eye on that. And the reason for it, ladies and gentlemen, is if you've got your eye in, I won't give you the answer. Tell me what happens. What sort of candle do you get if you blend candle 1 and 2 together? Okay, and then think about what that means. And in addition, it's happening at our light green zone. So that, I think, was a really good buy signal. If you missed that one, yet the next day was the confirmation of that. This was further confirmation, and this is all good through here. As I tend to say to Perry most of the time, it's just so far away from my light green zone, and it's probably a little bit too close to the round number there at $200. Not that $200 appears to be bothering the market right now, but I'm just going to go wait and see. Again, I just want the tiniest of little pullbacks just to give me a nice little neat place to put a stop beneath, and I'd happily be a buy. But I'm going to go hold on this one, happy holder, no question about it. But I'm not going to put the 1/3 on it. EXTR, I'm going to go ditto, and because we are seeing the results of some of these moves, just trying to give you, I know it's ancient history, but see, I would have been buying here too, though. You see. Okay, please understand. I think he has a great buy. Here, I probably would have said, it's like here's the closest to now, isn't it? Here is closest to now, and it doesn't mean they have to go down, but I just want. And you see what it did here, Perry? See that? Just a little bit. Just give me a little bit of supply to see how solid the demand side is, right? And after that, I'd be more confident. So, like in a candle like this. So speaking directly to Perry here, because Perry gives me these charts. So just helping Perry and helping everybody understand, I like these ones. I have to like these ones. I'm programmed to like these ones. But just even the tiniest bit of supply, and then that next candle is a place to get in. And often we see after the huge move, that little pullback, sometimes the next move isn't as clear because it has gone up so much. Okay, so possibly also highlighting the benefit of maybe finding stuff that's just a bit closer to the green zone. So broken record, happy holder. I can't see any reason in those candles to sell it, but I must continue to search for that perfect chart that I'm going to find today that's right near my light green zone. We just haven't found it yet, but stay tuned. I'm sure we will. This one here, BELFB. Just typed it in wrong. BELFB. There it is. Bel Fuse. Ditto. Here's the gap. Again, you can see the gap there. It wasn't a white candle, but certainly that confirms, and that one confirms. Just magic. Happy holder. This even you can see how round numbers come into play here. You can see, I think that's the response to 60 in those two candles. But then last night is just a great continuation. Is that enough to constitute that little pullback? Look, it's not bad at all. It's just so good. A happy holder. Am I going to put 1/3 on it? Oh, I can't see any reason why you couldn't. And just because it's had that little bit of supply and then that big push up, I think this is one of the ones today where I can go plus 1/3. It's just dipping the toe in the water. If we get the most almighty of black candles tomorrow, so be it. And you have to cop it, and you have to just say, well, that one didn't work. It's one of those ones Carl showed me before where he would have been buying the day before, Okay, we don't know. A plus 1/3 on that one. Perry and ABC is Perry's final pick, which I think has a lot of good stuff going for it. Straight away, though, my eye comes out to here. But that's okay. Look, again, a nice little theme for today's presentation where we're seeing that, yes, points to supply. And the reason why this is coming up, and it hasn't come up as much maybe in the last couple of months, is finally we've had this rally. And finally, we're pushing into those points of supply, whereas before in the bear market, we're bumping along the bottom. So it's a good problem to have. What do you do at these points of supply? And again, look to the market. And the market is telling you, actually, we're not that fussed about it. Yes, there was a little bit of supply here. You can see in this candle, even in this little intermediate candle here. But last night's candle is fine, and we're all good. And then actually, there's not a whole lot after that, probably to get into those mid-20s. I think this is very good. A close closer to the high probably would have dragged me in. I might just want to wait for one more candles confirmation. But yeah, look, no questions that this is one you want to keep an eye on, Perry. So I'm just going to, that might not be the right one. There we go. That's the one. Okay, bonus buy. Bonus one was that one there. Sorry. Was it that one there? Keep an eye on that one. Abcam and then Amerisourcebergen. It's just a function of good old Amy Broker. This one is probably the best chart I've seen today. Amazing candles, amazing trends. The price action, if you're not sure, if your eye hasn't picked it up, sometimes I don't always draw them in, but that looks very, very good. Just nice clean moves, short pullbacks. And if I zoom out, you'll see this is an all-time high. So that's a stairway to heaven, and therefore plus 1/3. So the bonus buy was the other one there, ABCM, but ABC, Amerisourcebergen, Perry, plus 1/3 for me. Thank you, Nick, for letting me know about that one. OPRA, I know is one we've covered in the past. This is Perry saying still singing along also. Looks amazing. I don't know, what did I tell you on this one? Did I tell you to buy it here? I wish I did, because that's your perfect buy. Even something like that's your perfect buy. Maybe the shadow there just keeping me out. Let's point to this one then. Happy holder. Could I buy it here? Like we've said so many times, it's going exponential. Happy holder. Let's try and find something closer to the Lycran zone. Okay. Let me know, Perry, if you're on any of those as well and how you're going. I hope you're doing well. MSFT, Microsoft. From Hanelli, is it time to take profits? As you can see, we've had many plus 1/3 on this one. It's a great case study in how the model works and trying to get stuff close to the turnaround, close to the light green zone. Happy holder here. This is amazing. Look at this. That's the all-time high there from the 22nd of November 2021. Oh my gosh, 22nd of November 2021. Let's have a look at this. What's the significance of that day? Right here, check this out. 22nd of November, 2021. Okay, so when we go to Microsoft, we're going to see that that's an important high. That's the high. And actually, I've turned myself off, which is probably good for many of you, of course. You didn't have to see my face there for about 15 minutes, but I'm back. Here I am. The all-time high. And if we've had a theme today, it is, what do you do at points of supply? What do you do at major points of supply? And you can't get any more a major point of supply than the all-time high in Microsoft, but coinciding with the bull market high. Okay, how poorly did things turn after that day, 22nd of November 2021? I mean, the poop hit the fan. Okay, and the significance of that day is even greater when you consider that it was the day that a certain central banker, the head of the US central bank, in fact, Jerome Powell, shuffled his papers for his acceptance speech, being reappointed for a second term, and on the podium from a dove, literally up to that point, into ultra hawk once the reappointment was confirmed. And then the rest is history. And look at that chart now. Look at the candle that we saw last night. Hanelli's question, is it time to take profits? And Hanelli, I would suggest to you, no, absolutely not. Hands down, do not take profits on this one. That is my view. You do whatever you need to do. But no, my view is you don't need to take profits, because look at how the market responded. Like, look at how much supply we saw. Look at the tiny little shadow. That's how much supply there was at that all-time high. That's how much the market was concerned about that all-time high. And if the market's not concerned about the all-time high, Hanelli, why should you be? And note this, for the newbies, for the noobs, look what Carl said to do last week, minus 1/3 on that candle. So you probably would have got out 1/3 of your holding here, okay? And it's bittersweet, heeding the candle, heeding the message that it gives us. And this is why we never get all out, okay? Especially in a great trend, okay? But we've seen so many times how that candle has caused something like this, haven't we? How many times have you seen it? And that's why we don't ignore them. Okay. But out of third and bittersweet, you know, you could have even really, if you were that way inclined, you could have added that third back in on that candle there, which I think is fantastic. And then today's candle, I'm going to say it's actually not that far away from the light green zone. And defying all logic and all expert analysis from anybody else that's not me, I'm going to say, Hanelli, the opposite of taking profits would be to add risk on this. And I'd be happy to add risk here on Microsoft. So if I didn't have it, I'd be happy to add some here. And that is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th plus 1/3. These were all given live in session. Happy with that one, Hanelli. Let's go to Intel, INTC. Oh, I'm so glad this one came up, because it has popped. Finally, this is the one that's been lagging everything else. You can see here, the last time we covered it was all the way back here. It was starting to push through that long-term downtrend zone. And I said to you, given the price action, we need to see a nice big white candle. And if we saw the white candle, then we could go plus 1/3. Go check the tapes. Did we see the white candle? No. In fact, we saw more of the same. That dark pink zone, that long-term trend, really continuing to push prices down until very recently. And it's taken the most almighty move. When have you ever been able to say this? That the NASDAQ had to transition into a bull market, make it so obvious to everybody in the world for Intel to get a pulse. And this is why you can't just go, oh, market's going up, I better go buy Intel, okay? Or tech stocks going up, better buy Intel. No, you've got to do the analysis. You've got to find the relative strength out there. And let's go back to to Intel's main competitor, which is NVDA, which you all know about. And just look at how long this one has been green down here in the relative strength comparative. Okay, and let's just head back to Intel now. INTC. Well, it had little periods there, didn't it? But I wonder if you check the scale there, 0.5 versus NVDA, and the greater magnitude, you can see the scale there as well. Let's do Intel, then let's do Nvidia. So let's go back to Intel here and say that, look, I'm a happy holder. I don't know if I'm a buyer here. It could turn out to be a great turnaround play as well, just a catch-up play. But let me see, there's a little bit of supply last night. Let me see how that supply continues to manifest itself in the market. And much like I did last time, isn't it? Very similar. In fact, let me use that. Let me utilize that. And let's say that if we saw the big white candle, so copy the big white candle, there we go, somewhere in there, or it could be the buddy of this one, which if I head down the list, nobody's told me what happens when you blend that candle. Okay, so I want to know what happens when you blend that candle. I'm going to give it away now, aren't I? It's kind of obvious. Let me do, is it here? No, it's not there. It's here. There it is. That's the one. So the best friend of that big white candle is this candle here. And that will change black in a second. So either of those candles, then I'd certainly be looking at a copy paste on Intel. But I don't think it's ready yet. If you've got it, hold it. Let's go to Nvidia NVDA. And again, look at this. Isn't this interesting? Obviously, there was an initial buy around here. We talked about it many times. There was one there. And then most recently, the calls from me have been basically sells. So you can see minus 1/3 on that candle, and then minus 1/3 once we had this lower point of supply crack through the point of demand through here. Maybe you sold on that day, maybe you didn't. But minus 2/3. So if we had, for example, I did tweet this during the week. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, and it's just pure hypotheticals. Let's say you bought 3 shares here, okay, and you bought another 3 shares here. Right, so now you're running total equals 6 shares, okay? And here I regretfully told you to hold it, not to buy it, because it was too close to the point of supply. That was that was unfortunate, wasn't it? All-time high. There you go, all-time high. But we just weren't close enough to it yet to see how we were going to respond to it. So regretfully, I said hold, not buy. At least I still said hold, because then boom, up we go here. Now, if this is a signal, and look, it wasn't the most decisive candle, to be fair. And yeah, probably could have refrained from selling it on that day with hindsight, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. But anyway, what's 1/3 of 6, right? So 1/3 of 6 is 2 shares. And now we've got 4 shares. So running total equals 4 shares of Nvidia. And then we get our next signal to sell here. Now we've got 4 shares. What's 1/3 of 4? Well, that's 1.333333 shares. You can round it up or round it down, do whatever you want. I'm going to round it down. So you're selling 1 share here, which gives you a running total of 3 shares, which, funnily enough, was the original position. And I'm not doing this to say, oh, you know, ha, I told you so, because it's so not the point of these sessions, but to illustrate how the model works, okay, and how beautiful this model actually is when you really sit down and think about it, is that you are responding to threats. You're not ignoring threats, like that change in trend there, the bearish candles. But you are also only dusting your final share when it's absolutely warranted to do so. Okay, and equally being attentive to where you need to get back in. Because I look at that and I see that as a plus 1/3, that candle right there. And even this one here is a plus 1/3. Last night, nothing to do. It's still a hold based on last night's candle, but it's not a further entry into the trade. Okay. Happy holder on Nvidia, not a seller. Not a close, not a closeout is probably a better way to put it. Okay, let's head back to Nicola. Nicola's asking about Shopify. Let's go back to my default zoom. Very important. You head back to your default zoom before you do some analysis. You can see we've covered this in the past, and I would have said I need to see this price action. I need to see it holding above the long-term trend zone, and it hadn't done it really until very recently. And I think this is the place that you get into Shopify. So I like the fact that the short-term trend is up. It's holding this zone. I like this little compression through here. Maybe it's a response to this point of supply sort of in here, maybe not. But I don't mind this one. It's turnaround play. It's a specky. We're close to the green zone. The last couple of candles I think are good. The price action, look, there's a compression under this point of supply. So I'm not too fussed about the fact we've got a little bit of overlap here. And it's only a little bit of overlap, really, with this trough here and that, sorry, this trough here. So that trough, let's call it point of demand, and this point of supply. I'm okay with it. Last 2 candles are pretty good. You know, started to outperform the market again. This is one I could go plus 1/3 on quite happily. Just a third, no more than that. It's still very, very speculative, and there's still potentially a fair bit I think that could go wrong. But as a turnaround play, I think it's very interesting. Let's go to SDGR for Phil. Oh, what did I say about this one last time? Hopefully I told you to buy it, or I might have said something like, wait for that candle there. Is that what I said? Phil, is that what I said? Wait for the white candle that closes above the red zone. I wonder what I said. If you did it, hang on to it. If you didn't, last night's candle is good enough. Yeah, it's more than good enough, but I think it's the breakout. So yeah, I'm going to go plus 1/3 on this one as well. Happy with that one, Phil. Okay, what I have neglected, and apologies for doing that, it's an oversight, it's not intentional, is to head here. and have a look at some of the valuations. So let us do SHOP, because it's one we've said that we're considering buying. I probably haven't missed many, because I think many today have been, you know, along the theme of, well, it's just gone up so much. Just give me a tiny little pullback, you know. Shopify, let's check it out. We're still retrieving here. What we've got here is the Thomson Reuters Refinitiv Icon platform, which powers, not the platform, but it's a spreadsheet which is powered by the platform. It's a spreadsheet which I must admit I downloaded out of Refinitiv Icon. So originally it was their intellectual property, but I think I've adapted it enough to call it mine. And certainly this stuff down here is all mine, but we are getting broker consensus estimates here from 41 broking houses and research houses from all over the world, the smartest of the smartest people in the room, that have crunched the numbers, and they believe that for the FY23, which is to December this year, Shopify will earn $6.728 billion in revenue, and that's what they think for next year. Of course, that's the average of those 41 estimates, and then we've got all the other data they provide for us, which gives us our consensus estimates. You might have heard that term in the media, and consensus growth rates, but we also have historical data through here, which is money in the bank. Of those 41 brokers that have covered, their average price target is 61.67, which means that the current price is overvalued, or well, I mean, Shopify is overvalued versus the current price, and potentially based upon that target, there's 6.7% downside. They are at a hold. It's quite a, in fact, this is a really polarizing company. Wow. 5 strong buys, 13 buys, 28 in the middle, and then 1 sell and 2 strong sells. It's very rare we see such indecision in the market for a company. What I like to see is decisiveness in the earnings lines at bottom left, top right. It was doing it until 2022. I don't know what happened in 2022, nor do I really care, to be honest, because I looked at the chart already. But we're expecting a return to earnings here, and then some pretty solid growth going forward, about 36%, which is substantially better than the market's average, usually sort of high single digits. But we're paying for it, aren't we? Look at the PE there, 100 times the median PE over the forward-looking period. But it has been substantially higher than that in the past, up to 1,600 times. So is 100 a good deal? I want to say 100 is not a great deal, okay? In absolute terms. In relative terms, I'm still concerned. It just still feels really high to me. I won't put the, you can change the risk level there, I don't know. I won't cap it out at 40 like I usually do, because I'm going to say, look, I don't know. I don't know. That's all past and historical. That's historical. Okay, if you work on a historical valuation, it's crazy cheap. If you work on the future valuation, it's actually saying that growth is making it still reasonably priced. Look, I'm going to say, given my spreadsheet, and I trust my spreadsheet, is saying based upon this, it's still okay. I know the brokers haven't caught up to that yet, but it's okay. Now, personally, that's really high. That 100 is really high for me, okay? Is there a red flag not to buy at Shopify? I don't think so. I'm not too concerned about it. The other one was SDGR, the Schrodinger, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. Not as much coverage here, but enough, I think. 9 brokers covering. Their average price target is $54, which that's good to see some green in the screen there, 18.8% upside. The ratings, 2 strong buys, 4 buys, 3 holds. Great not to see any sells or strong sells, and we're just getting the numbers coming through now. Bottom left, top right earnings, it's actually hasn't made any money, but looking to do so this year, and then who can say what the hell's going to happen going forward. So I won't go any further with the valuation, just on the basis that this is crazy stuff here, and I don't have a lot of confidence in my spreadsheet actually doing the right thing on that one. So we will defer to the chart on that. I'm just seeing that we're coming up pretty close on time, so we will just go back to the charts and finish as many as I can before Ausbiz tell me I need to go on Ausbiz. So let us go to Michael. So don't type any new ones in, please. Oh, there's Ausbiz right there. Speak of the devil. I'll do my best to get through a few of these. Micron Technology, happy holder, but just be careful. I don't want to see it go beneath this level here. Until then, I think we're okay. Ausbiz asking me to dial in. FCX for Stuart, FCX copper chart. Looks okay. I can go hold. I'm not going to buy it for all the reasons we can see there. Points of supply, etc., etc. DKNG, happy holder. I think this is one last week we said plus 1/3. It hasn't done a lot, okay, but I'm going to go hold and put the onus back on you to find those points of supply and points of demand to get out. Paul saying, don't recommend that. Didn't recommend that one, but definitely, Carl, you have completely changed the way I look at investing. Paul actually says inventing, but I'm guessing he means investing, but we are inventing, Paul, another way to look at the market. TCMD, Tactile Systems, happy holder there. Just a little bit of supply coming in at those last few candles. Probably not a buy just yet, but keep an eye on it. Boeing, which is not that one. It's, oh no. Oh, I gotta go. Yeah, sorry about that. Look, just use the words there. I am rushing. Look, I've done Boeing recently, but Amy Broke's not giving it to me, so let's skip that one. OPRA, I've done that one. Change the screen. Nicholas shouting at me. Intel, we've done. Apple, I'm going to do this in a second. Tune in on Ausbiz. I'm going to talk about Apple. Happy hold. In fact, I'm happy to buy more. And I think we got to the bottom of the list. I seriously need to get out of here. So I won't do the usual sign off, but hey, if you're not a client of Think Markets, you should be. And all that. Hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, etc., etc. It has been a pleasure chatting with you today. Don't forget, everything we've talked about is general advice, has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances or particular needs. So before acting upon it, please consider those things carefully or seek the help of a financial professional. Otherwise, download our product disclosures guide from our website. Bye-bye.